Hi, I'm Jerry the Snake Man, and today we're going to be talking about albinoism on snake clips. Albinoism is when a snake or an animal lacks certain pigmentations and its colors turn out to be a white or a yellowish color. So stay tuned. Today we're starting our albino show off with an albino monocle cobra. The snake is from Asia. It's usually found in grasslands and lightly forested regions. It's found largely also around human population farmlands because it attracts mice and rats to the farmlands, and this particular snake likes to eat mice and birds and rats and other snakes. So being that mice draws other snakes and the snakes like to eat mice, it will also be a double draw for the snake because there'll be mice there for him to eat plus snakes that the mice are drawing as well. Generally these snakes get about 5 to 7 feet. They get their name monocle cobra because of the marking that is on the back of their neck. It looks like a monocle or a single eye. And the only time you'll see this marking though is when the snake has actually flared its hood out. Otherwise you won't see that it's there. Now with albinoism, basically it's what happens is when a snake loses its pigmentation, true albinos will have red eyes. A lot of albinos like him, you can still see some markings on his neck. These markings mean that he's not a true albino because he does still have some pigmentation in him. But he's a beautiful, what they still consider an albino snake. When it comes to the animal kingdom, you'll find that 1 out of 10,000 animals are born albinos. The thing with an albino is he doesn't have the ability to hide himself very well, so he will probably be killed before he'll be able to pass this genetic fingerprint on to the next generation. We're going to take him out of here, get him covered up in there basically. Well, I gave you some information, because when I'm handling venomous snakes, I like to have my entire attention on the snake and not looking the other way. As you can see, he's not an aggressive snake by nature. He is pretty laid back. I have had him since he was very young, so he is very docile. He doesn't mind being handled at all. Again, I've mentioned this in my other videos. As I handle venomous snakes, I'm wearing what is called hex armor glove or needle stick gloves. They will prevent the fangs from penetrating. Here's a nice little hood up here. If we get him to hood up a little more, that would be beautiful, but he really doesn't hood up too much. He's not afraid of me. He doesn't consider me as a threat, so basically you won't see him hood up. Normally you'll see that when I go to put him in his enclosure or take him out of his enclosure. That's normally when he'll give me that nice hood up, beautiful threat display, but normally he doesn't try to strike when he gives me that display. As you can see, he's just very quick moving. He wants to move around through my hands. I can't let him go up too far on my arms though, because I do take safety first, and I want to keep him so he can't bite at me if he wanted to. The snake I got here obviously is not an albino. This is a western diamondback. This is a baby. Again, had him since he was little, or a friend of mine actually had him since he was little. I got him when he's a little bit bigger, more of a juvenile, but he is very docile. And what I'm going to show you now is the normal coloration of a western diamondback rattlesnake. I currently don't have an albino version of him in my collection right now. But at the end of the clips, I am going to have pictures of the normal colors of each snake and the albino colors of each snake. And they all are from my collection. They're not snakes that I have taken pictures off the internet and posted. They're actually my pictures. Western diamondback rattlesnakes, they will appear in the wild albino every once in a while. It is a coloration that will occur. But again, because of the fact that they cannot hide very well being that color, they will be eaten very quickly. They will be found by other predators. If you do come across a large version of an albino snake in the wild, that snake will be extremely aggressive because it would have to have been very nasty and have to fight everything off its entire life. Again, this is a western diamondback rattlesnake, and as you can see, a lot of people think that venomous snakes are nasty. That is definitely not true. I do wear the gloves. I don't trust them. I do take all safety precautions, but as far as being overly aggressive, they are not. Now this is an albino king snake. I know you just saw this in the king snake clip. An albino king snake, right now he's doing one of his defenses, which is going to the bathroom, which means he doesn't really feel like being held right now. But as you can see, he is pure white. He has no markings whatsoever on him, and his eyes are red. And the red eyes are a sign of albinoism. When they have red eyes, that's a true albino, and his eyes are very red. And what's kind of cool about an albino, though, is if you hold them up to the light, you can actually kind of see inside of them a little bit. You can see some of their organs. You can see if they've had a meal. They're awesome snakes, but again, a snake like this would not last very long in the wild because of its lack of being able to hide. Now, in captivity, though they're very popular snakes, although they're not my preference of snakes. I like the normal colors in snakes. But in captivity, a lot of people will breed albinos, and if you have two albino parents, you will definitely get albino babies. They're really cool snakes, though. I mean, as far as looking at them, but they are. This particular one is a true albino. Has no markings whatsoever on him. He's a very nice snake, but unfortunately, he has to be kept in captivity his entire life, or he will be eaten very quickly by something else. The next snake we got is got to be one of my favorite snakes. This is leucistic Texas rat snake. And why he's out today, he's not actually an albino, but you see he's pure white. He has no markings on him whatsoever. But what's unique about him is if you look at his eyes. This snake has pretty blue eyes, just like my wife does. And that means that he's not an albino. This is a natural coloration for this snake. He is so awesome, though. I really love my leucistic Texas rat snake. I acquired him as a rescue as well. I was given to me by a lady who said that she could never touch this snake or go into his enclosure without the snake biting her constantly. Well, as you can see, this snake here is not looking to bite me. He's very docile, and he's a very beautiful snake. He's got those beautiful blue eyes. He's very curious. He moves around a lot. Again, though, he is not an albino. And when I do shows, I bring him out and I say, here's a white snake. And I give my age away because I ask people, I saw a mystical snake, at least I thought a mystical snake, on an album cover, and it was called White Snake. And then I show this snake here, and when people raise their hand to tell me, oh yes, I remember that album cover, the White Snake, it tells me their age as well. Most of the time, with my shows, the children there are way too young to know who White Snake was. But this guy is not a mystical snake. He is real, as you can see. Very beautiful, very docile. One of my favorite snakes that I have. And in the pet trade, a lot of times snakes are called albinos, like this would be called an albino corn snake, where in reality this is what's really called a melanistic corn snake. And a melanistic means that it's generally lost all its darker colorations, it's black, it's browns, so it turns out to be this red, orangish, and white type of snake. Another form is melanistic snake, and melanistic snake would be a corn snake basically that's lost its lighter colorations and is more of a darker colored snake. They're all considered albinos in the pet trade, but in reality they are different. Again, a pure albino corn snake would have red eyes with no markings whatsoever. This is my beautiful albino Burmese python. And again, as I was talking about some snakes that aren't true albinos, well, she does have beautiful reddish eyes. But as you can see though in her coloration here, you can notice her patterns. So she does have a little pigmentation left. These snakes are illegal to keep in New York without licenses, which we do have licenses from the DEC. They are not aggressive snakes normally. As you can see, they're beautiful, docile snakes. And I get very upset when people talk about these snakes being overly dangerous, because these snakes are not dangerous. These snakes are very usually timid snakes. And the only time they're going to attack something or somebody that they don't normally consider food is if they are starving to death. And people keep these snakes in very poor built enclosures. They don't feed them properly. So then they become aggressive, they get out, and then they'll attack a dog or a cat or even a baby or a child. And the snake gets blamed for it, when in reality it's not the snake's fault. The snake is doing what it normally would do in nature, and that's just trying to survive. But these are the snakes that are loose in Florida mostly. And TV has a way of showing these as being very aggressive snakes, very nasty snakes. Of course, if I was out in the wild and I was hungry, and some person started yanking me around by my tail, I probably would try to bite them too. But I've had snakes that were actually brought from Florida, Burmese pythons, and they were just as puppy dog tame as this guy here is. And again, this guy was actually also a rescue. Somebody no longer wanted him, so he became part of our collection, and he is one of the best snakes that I've ever kept.